Hello chess fans, in today's video I'm going to show you two games by Hikaru in which he managed to destroy d4 and ready very quickly using this simple attacking setup. So I'm going to show you it now. So this first game is against Hou Yifan. So Hou Yifan started with knight f3 and we see a ready-like position. Hikaru here is going for the modern. Here we see d6. And after castles, knight c6, d4, we get to our main tabia position. So it doesn't matter how you get this. They could start with d4 or start with knight f3. But here we are going to see the plan. So this position is already very uncommon. So it's very unlikely that your opponent has seen this. And this is a very natural setup from white to get d4 off. For example, another way you can get this position is after d4, here you can play the move d6. And if c4, I might cover this in a later video, but after knight f3, here you can go g6. And here a lot of opponents here choose the move g3. Now, I'm also going to cover what you can do if they play c4, which is another common move. And if they play e4, you go back into a perk. But after g3, bishop g7, bishop g2, notice after knight c6, we've transposed. So this is a more likely move order. But let's go back to the game continuation. So after d4 here, we can see Hikaru's plan. It's with bishop d7. And this is a very tricky plan. And I really love this plan because it's very simple and very attacking. So the idea is to go queen c8 and bishop a3. And here we can see c4. So again, doesn't really matter what order they play this. We're going to get this position. So here we go queen c8. And it seems kind of ridiculous. And if we look at the database here, all the games are from Hikaru. So Hikaru is using this and has a 60% win rate for black at the highest level. So it's even not that dubious. So after knight c3, here the whole idea is to go bishop h3. The idea is we want to trade off this bishop, which is defending the king, for this bishop, which is not really doing that, push the h pawn, and then use a combination of the knight coming to these squares to attack the king. This is very dangerous, as you can see. So here, I think a bad move is played, d5. Now, this may be considered the best move, but it really doesn't make sense because you're basically just allowed me to get my bishop in the attack, and after knight here and pushing of the h pawn, it's very hard to defend. So here we saw queen d3. Idea is e4 and also to lend some defense. h5, continuing with our plan, we just want to attack. And all these moves are engine best, so you know it's an easy position to play. And here the position becomes very difficult for white. So if we're looking at this with the engine, I don't think the next move makes any sense. So see if you can find the move for white. I don't think it's very natural at all. The move is f3. I really struggled to find the purpose of this move, but the idea is you're going to go queen e2 and then get the queen to g2, I guess. And for example, this is not a problem because we can play g4 now. So yeah, this is very unlikely he'll play it because, okay, the bishop's even trapped. But instead, Hou Yifan decided to play f4, which I think is a much more human-like move. So here Hikaru took. And it might not seem obvious to get rid of your good bishop. But notice if we put the bishop back, the bishop doesn't really do anything. But this knight does cover a crucial square on e4 and has the ability to come back to the defense. So this is definitely a great move. And it also gets him a tempo to develop the knight. So here we see queen c3. And here, funnily enough, Hikaru made an inaccuracy. He's supposed to go rook h7. Now, nobody on earth is going rook h7, and you should probably report them if they go rook h7 for being a cheater. The idea is pretty much of rook h7 is you want to kind of get the knight to f5, and you don't want to commit the knight to f6 so quickly. So after here, Hou Yifan went for bishop e3. And yeah, again, another ridiculous move here, f5. Just frankly completely ridiculous. If pawn takes here, you have here, and then you're going to be able to sack on this square along with bishop g5. It's just very ridiculous play. Nobody's going to play like this. And even a 2650 GM made a mistake here. So here at h4, bishop d4. And again, we do not care what white is doing. We're just going to keep on attacking, opening up the h file. And here queen takes, another mistake. Yeah, it's hard to really fault Hou Yifan here. Probably they should have taken here, and after takes, it's very, very difficult to play. Again, we're going to see this transpose back to the game, but h takes could also be played. After queen takes here, bishop takes g2, queen takes d2, not really a big mistake, but after rook h4, here we can see the main threat is to go with rook g4, so Hou Yifan had to get out of the way, and after queen f5, pretty much what black is going to do is castle, bring the rook to the h file, and it's pretty much dead lost, and as we can see, Hikaru converted this pretty nicely. Bishop takes here, queen takes, and queen f2. This didn't really address the problem. Now here Hikaru can't castle queenside because of the fact that white would have the move queen takes a7, and then it gets kind of scary because of the fact that there's some perpetual check, which we don't want to allow. So Hikaru played, again, another crazy good move, king d7. Not often you see the bong cloud be the best move. Queen g3, rook a8, continuing with the plan. The whole idea was just to attack along the h-file this whole time, and that's all Hikaru has been doing, trading off the defenders of the king and attacking on the h-file. Rook f2. And now here, finally, it's time to cash in. White's pieces are extremely passive, and okay, our king is extremely safe. And if we continue from here, the rest of this game is not so important because we want to look at the opening, but this position is -9 and Hikaru went on to win. Here, White resigned. So that's our first showing of what Hikaru did to destroy this sort of ready and King's Indian setup. Notice you can do this against a lot of different things. So let's look at the next game. So again, this game, we had the move order that's more likely to happen. This was against Caruana, a 2800 player at the time. So knight f3, g6, g3, bishop g7, bishop g2, and notice we get the same thing after c4 and knight c6. So again, we've transposed. These are multiple ways you can find the same position. It's just if they do this fianchetto setup, you can go for this plan with bishop h3. So now we're going to see a little bit of a different approach. So last time I told you how I thought d5 is kind of not a strong approach, but pretty much all grandmasters do it because it's pretty much the best move to take space. Now, if we're looking at other moves here that may be problems, we can notice that there is this move e4, and the idea of e4 is just to take as much space as possible. Again, there is a Caruana game here as well between Hikaru, and here you're going to go here, and for example, if they go for something like bishop e3, you can go here. Notice that if they ever take here, the problem is that you can take here. And you might say, wait, how does that doesn't even make any sense. The idea is to take here, take here, take here, and if it takes, you can take here. Wait, what? Aren't you just giving up the rook? Takes, and then queen g4 is winning, and this would be game over. So that's another tactic that you can be wary of, and that's what happens if they go e4, bishop e3. Just be wary of that. You can open up the h file, and if this queen is not covering g4, you can sometimes get the queen on g4. So here instead, Caruana played d5, and after knight e5, knight takes c5, we saw e4. So now e4 again here is a very, very, very big mistake, and the reason why is very hard to explain. And it's why Caruana 2800 GM made this mistake. And basically the whole reason why is you're really weakening the dark squares. So if at all you're going to move the e-pawn, it might be improved to move the e-pawn to e3, as we're going to see. Though even this is pretty bad because here you have no plans. So White has to do some really crazy stuff here with like f3 and e4 and then pushing g4. It's very unnatural, and that's why this has huge win rates here, 100% win rate in this position. So after e4, we saw h5, again threatening our plan. If the queen ever moves, after h5, it's game over. So here f4, another mistake. And here again, Hikaru trades off the pieces. Now notice we never want to trade off this bishop immediately. Like we're never going to play this move unprovoked. The second they play f4, now it's fine. Their structure is weakened. They're never going to attack us on the queen side. And also we've gotten rid of a possible defender. So here after h4. So here pretty much what's going to happen is if a move like, for example, queen d3 is to be played here, we can go for the same thing as we saw in the last game after queen takes g3 here. And there's a lot of different moves here. For example, if bishop e3, I think, okay, then pawn was hanging immediately. And if they defend it, you can go for rook h4, basically threatening this sort of same position. Or even here you have a tactic, and after here you can checkmate them. So yeah, a lot of different threats here, and that's why that's pretty much not playable. So you have to shut down the connection between the queen and the bishop. And here Hikaru plays a nice move, takes on g3. If takes here, you can take here, intermezzo. So he had to take back, and after g takes here, simply White is going to lose the pawn. For example, if they took here, takes here, and then you can take here, and you'll be up a pawn. And if they take back, you can take here, and now you're up a pawn. So now, frankly, very nice, up a pawn. White has this horrible structure here, weak king, and yeah, Black's just winning here. So we'll see the conversion. So here we see queen d4, rook h7, bishop g5. Bishop g5 is an inaccuracy, but I don't really believe it is. It makes a lot of sense. Rook g7. From here, we see basically the cleanup process of winning the pawn. And the reason why he had to sacrifice the pawn here is because otherwise he's just getting mated. This is just the best move because there's nothing White can do to prevent all the threats here. So yeah, he sacked the pawn, and we're just going to go over the conversion of this real quick. And okay. Hikaru managed to make a few mistakes here, but in the end managed to get the win under time pressure. And yeah, okay. Sometimes you're going to get games like this at the super master level, at the super grandmaster level, because of the fact that, okay, they are super grandmasters. They're only going to make a few mistakes per the whole game. And in this case, all of them came in the opening because of Hikaru's very tricky opening. Now, if you guys like this video, please remember to leave a like and subscribe. And if you guys want me to continue this series of looking at famous players' repertoires, please let me know, because I find Hikaru's repertoire to be very, very interesting. And there's also a lot of other players who use online repertoires, which I find very interesting. For example, Alexander Bortnik. I think his repertoire online is very interesting, and Daniel Naroditsky has a very interesting repertoire too. So if you guys want me to look at those, let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.